When I was 15, God revealed himself to me. Prior to this, I had always lived in a Christian home. I had always been around believers. I'd been going to church every Sunday with my family. I had always been forced to go to youth group when I was in middle school and before that. And I used to question myself and my faith. I used to have a lot of doubts when I was that age. There's a lot of things going through my mind, a lot of new things that people were telling me that I'd never thought of before in school and the world. And the world tried to get to me. He revealed himself to me in a way that I cannot put into words. I remember there was one night where I was just laying in bed and I just had such a great pain and just feeling of distress in my heart, and I felt very, very hopeless. And in that moment, I cannot put it into words, but God revealed himself to me. And it was just a change of heart and a snap of a finger. I started crying tears of joy, and I'm just like, man, I have gotten so far from God. Why did I ever question? Why did I ever doubt? Why did I ever wander away? And I was so young too. I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand that God was preparing me to do something greater, that God was calling me. And I remember after that, my only desire in those next few months was to just read the Bible. I was reading the Bible for hours upon hours every day. My only desire was to continually read, memorize verses. And that started to show in my life. Like, God transformed my heart, and there was such a great joy in my life that I can't explain. I can't put into words. It's just joy of contentment and knowing who Jesus is. He gives us that joy, and I remember what that felt like. It was something unexplainable, the joy that Jesus gave me in those months, and I couldn't keep it to myself. I wanted to share it with the world. And I remember being 15, filming TikToks, trying to teach what I learned in the Bible. I would read something and I'm like, this is really cool and I want to share it with people. And so I did. This went on for a while until I got a little bit older and I started to get more distracted. I started to get more distracted with things coming up in life and new directions and new desires and interests popping up. And I never lost my faith. But my priorities changed. My priorities tried to pull me away from God. I was lied to by the internet. I was lied to by so many people. I was lied to by those around me in school. I was lied to by just so many negative voices I shouldn't have been listening to begin with. And like I said, keep in mind, during all this time, like, I never fell away from my faith. I still had the desire to pray every day. I still had the desire to seek God in my life and to read the word and all this stuff, right? But there was something that changed. I'm not saying there was never moments where I felt God, because there surely was. The search of the world began and I started to mix up what actually mattered. I started to drift away from only seeking after him above everything else. In these last few years, I've been on and off of doing that. I've been on and off of seeking after God in his own heart, and then eventually getting completely lost and wanting to do something completely irrelevant that doesn't have anything to do with God's calling on my life. Not that those things are inherently bad on themselves. Like, I've never let something so extremely worldly and sinful try to call me away from God. That's not what I'm talking about. But there's just been so many different things that have tried to get my attention, that have tried to get me to take action on certain things, and it's led to pain, it's led to confusion, and it's led to questioning, what am I doing with myself? So going forward to today, the last few months, God has really been doing a renewing work on my heart. He has called me back to that original place that I once was when he first found me. And I really can't put into words this feeling. I wish I could. I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, like I'm repeating myself, that I'm stuttering. But that's just, there's so many things going on in my head right now that I wish I could share clearly, and I'm trying my best to. But he has brought me back to that place of joy of when I first found him again. When I first found him, that 15-year-old boy that I was, and that joy of just having a burning passion and fire for the Lord, and that's all that really mattered. And it's come back. I'm fighting back tears of joy as I'm saying this, because I'm just so grateful that God has restored joy in me that I once had. And it's here to stay. And I know that with 100% confidence. The joy of the Lord is your strength. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10. The joy of the Lord gives you the strength to conquer life, to conquer the world, to overcome the things that are trying to distract you and pull you away from your calling. The joy of the Lord is your contentment, because when your contentment is in Jesus, nothing else can take that away from you. Nothing else will ever amount to him. Nothing else will ever compare to the joy that he gives, because it's eternal. It lasts. It's something that actually matters. All this temporary worldly garbage and achievements, it doesn't matter. Is there a passion and joy in your life that wants to share this with other people? And that's what he has called me back to do. John 15:11, Jesus says, "Everything I have told you so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete." My joy is complete because of Jesus. And my heart pounds because I want other people to know that. I don't want other people who are Christians to fall into that same trap of searching for the next thing of, what does God want me to do in my life? How can I make myself, make my life worth it? How do I make my life successful? Your life is already successful if you have received Jesus. What else is there to prove? What else is there to do? What else is there to conquer? So let your joy be made complete in who Jesus is. Let that transformative work of his joy in your life happen. There is no greater joy than the joy found in Jesus. It's an empty word and phrase that's often thrown around, but when you truly understand what that means, when you've lived through the ups and the downs and now he has restored your joy, nothing can ever amount to that. And my hope and prayer is that everybody who feels this way, who went through that same kind of period of life where they are lost in things and they can't think straight of what actually matters, that their priorities are mixed up, that God would restore your joy, that you would come back home to the Father, because his arms are open wide.